Campfire Ghost Stories. True ghost story, the little girl lost. Location, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Part 1. The Knock. When I was 15, I didn't believe in ghosts. I believed in movies, in crushes, in late-night gossip, and the thrill of staying up past midnight when the house was supposed to be asleep. That night started like a dozen others, harmless, fun, forgettable. My best friend Jenna had come over for a sleepover at my grandparents' house. They had raised me since I was little, and their old place, a creaking 2-story home on the edge of Edmonton, always smelled of wood polish and lavender. The snow outside had fallen in soft, heavy sheets all evening, coating the neighborhood in silence. Inside, the television flickered with the glow of a horror movie we were barely paying attention to. We were more focused on whispering, scrolling through our phones, and laughing about things that only made sense at 2 a.m. At exactly 2:07 a.m., the credits rolled. Jenna groaned and tossed the remote aside. "We should try to sleep," she said, though neither of us meant it. I reached over to turn off the lamp on my nightstand, plunging the room into the soft half-dark. That's when we heard it. A knock. Not a creak, not a random settling sound. A knock. 3 slow, deliberate taps on the wall beside the window. Jenna looked at me. "Was that your grandpa?" I shrugged, though my heart gave a quick, stupid skip. My grandfather had a habit of teasing us when we stayed up too late, sometimes knocking on the door or calling our names in a fake ghost voice. Still, something about this knock felt off. It came from the outside wall, not the hallway. I grabbed my phone flashlight and tiptoed to the window. Outside, the snow glistened under a streetlight. No footprints, no shadows, just the quiet hum of the wind. I checked my grandparents' room. Both were sound asleep. Grandpa's snoring echoed faintly, so I went back to bed, pretending not to feel uneasy. Jenna teased me about being jumpy. We laughed it off. That laugh sounded hollow even to me. When I finally laid my head down again, I remember thinking, maybe it was just the pipes. And then a voice. Faint, trembling, and impossibly close. "I don't like it here anymore. I want to go home." Every hair on my body stood up. I sat up so fast, my blanket slid to the floor. Jenna was already sitting up too, her eyes wide in the dark. "Did you hear that?" I swallowed. My mouth had gone dry. "You mean I wasn't dreaming?" "No," she whispered. "It sounded like a little girl." The air in the room felt heavy, thick, charged with something unseen. I reached for the lamp. The bulb flickered twice before turning on a weak yellow glow, pushing back the dark. The room was empty, but the space beside the window, where the voice had come from, felt colder than the rest of the room, as if something invisible stood there watching us. We whispered the words together, half testing, half terrified. The footsteps were slow, uneven, as though someone small and barefoot was shuffling across the floor. Each creak of the wood made my pulse jump. Jenna and I didn't speak. We just stared at the closed bedroom door, our breath fogging in the faint light. The steps stopped. For a moment there was only silence, thick and suffocating. "Sa Ibar." Then came the faint scrape of fingernails along the doorframe. Jenna grabbed my arms so tight her nails dug into my skin. "It's your grandpa," she whispered, though her voice was trembling. "No," I said quietly. "He's asleep." The scraping stopped. I reached out and flicked on my phone's flashlight again, the beam shaking as I tried to steady my hand. I aimed it at the floor. Nothing. The door, still closed. And then the handle moved. Not a twist, but a slow rattle, as if someone was testing it gently. Jenna let out a shaky gasp and whispered, "Say something." I swallowed hard. "Who's there?" Silence. The rattling stopped. For a few long seconds we listened. Then faintly, from the other side of the door, "Please let me go home." The same little girl's voice. The words weren't angry or scary. They were sad, broken, like someone who'd been crying for a very long time. That made it worse. I forced myself to open the door. The hallway was empty. The nightlight near my grandparents' room flickered weakly, casting long shadows that shifted when I moved. The air smelled faintly of damp earth, though the snow outside had sealed every window tight. I checked their door again. Still closed, still snoring. I turned back toward my room and that's when I saw it. A small wet footprint on the hardwood floor. Just one. Bare, child-sized, pointed toward my bedroom door. My heart hammered so hard I thought I'd faint. I reached down to touch it. Cold, damp, real. "Jenna," I whispered. "Come here." She crept up behind me, her phone light trembling. When it hit the floor, her breath caught. "Oh my God." We followed the print back toward the stairs, but it didn't lead anywhere. It just stopped halfway down the hall, as though whoever left it had vanished mid-step. We didn't sleep that night. We left every light on, sat side by side on the bed, and tried to talk about anything else, music, school, movies, but every few minutes, one of us would glance toward the door, expecting to see that little shadow again. At 4:18 a.m., something else happened. The music box. It was an old one that belonged to my grandmother, shaped like a tiny ballerina. It had been broken for years, sitting silent on her dresser. But now, without warning, it began to play. A soft, sad tune floated through the house, a melody I didn't even recognize. Jenna started crying. "Turn it off," she whispered. "Please, turn it off." We ran to the room. The ballerina inside spun slowly, even though the key wasn't wound. Her porcelain face was cracked. The basement and the photograph. The next morning felt unreal, like the world had quietly shifted overnight and nobody else noticed. The sunlight creeping through the curtains did nothing to chase away the dread that clung to me. Jenna was pale and silent, her eyes ringed with dark circles. We didn't talk much during breakfast. My grandparents chatted cheerfully about the weather, completely unaware that a ghost had been whispering just down the hall a few hours earlier. I thought maybe telling them would help, but how could I say it? "Hey Grandma, there's a dead little girl wandering the house." Instead, I just nodded and pushed my eggs around my plate. But there was one thing I couldn't stop noticing. Every few minutes, I'd glance at the hallway and see something out of place. A shadow, a flicker, a flash of white at the edge of my vision. When I finally looked straight on, nothing. Jenna had to leave that afternoon, though I could tell she didn't want to stay alone even for a minute. When her mom pulled up, she hugged me tight and whispered, "Please don't stay here tonight." I wanted to laugh it off, pretend I wasn't scared, but when I saw the fear in her eyes, I couldn't. After she left, I went upstairs to clean up our mess. Popcorn bowls, blankets, and the half-watched horror DVDs scattered around. The air still felt unnaturally cold. As I picked up the remote, I noticed something glinting near the vent by the wall. A small piece of paper browned around the edges, wedged in the crack. I pulled it out carefully. It was an old photograph, a black and white picture of a little girl, no older than 7, standing in front of the same house. She wore a long white dress and clutched a rag doll to her chest. Her eyes looked strange, not frightened, not happy, just lost. I turned it over. On the back in faded blue ink were the words, "Emily, 1962, my sunshine." I felt the room sway around me. Emily. Was that her? That night I couldn't sleep. Every noise in the house felt amplified. The tick of the clock, The groan of the pipes, even the whisper of snow brushing the windows.